Good morning to everybody except for the psychopath that recommended this frickin' book to me. Oh my god, guys, this feels like freaking Zodiac Academy all over again. If you're one of my OG followers, I don't know if you'll remember this video from the archives when I went down my entire Zodiac Academy pit dive. But like, imagine that series was bumped up to Chernobyl level of freaking darkness and all of the main characters were hella gay. Pretty much what this frickin' series is right now. I'm at like 84% of this book. Last night, I was in bed staring at my Kindle, unable to flip the freaking page because I just knew I was gonna hate myself if I kept reading. Like, I just knew it. And then I fell asleep and I was having nightmares, like nightmares about what these characters are going through. I just saw a random rec for it. It was on like a darkest MM post you've ever read kind of a thing. And you know me, like, I need to know. Despite my own mental health just rotting, I need to freaking know. And yeah, curiosity killed Killy cat. Let me tell you that. Let me get into the meat and potatoes about what this series is like, basically. So I mentioned Zodiac Academy, and the only real comparison between Zodiac Academy and this is, one, this is like a 10-book series. Every single book is this thick. This is book one, okay? Hello. That font ain't tiny. It's not small. You know me. I don't shy away from a big book. I like them thick and chunky, but even I was a little bit intimidated because 10 books at this length for somebody who makes content on books as like a huge part of like what I do for a living. I need to have fresh content for you guys, and I'm like, shit, I'm like getting into it with this, right? Like, if I need to read all 10, 12 maybe of these books, the am I gonna do for content? I know this book is gonna end on a cliffhanger. And again, that's where the Zodiac comparison comes in, where it's like, by this point, you're so invested in these characters that when they hurt, it's like the end of the world. But it's not like this like author is just kind of giving them one third act breakup. Like, the drama that is freaking happening. Like I said, I had freaking nightmare. This is impacting me on a deep level that I was not freaking prepared for. Send help. Oh my god. Anyways, that being said, another comparable that I would compare this to is it's basically like The Walking Dead, but instead of zombies, you have like genetically modified humans that have like kind of taken over, and there's a lot of radiation poisoning, and the radiation has poisoned all of like the animals and the plant life. So by force, these people are cannibals. Human beings are the only things that have dystopian government in this world bothers putting what is called a Grieg chip into them, which prevents them from getting radiation poisoning. So they're really the only organic form of protein that is safe to freaking eat. So everybody's a freaking cannibal. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. This line is what convinced me to start this insane. This is 1%. I'm at 1% and I got hit with this. Like, girl, baby, princess, queen. You freaking know if you're gonna hit me with some shit like that, I cannot be stopped. That was pretty much full throttle ahead for me. But anyway, is this what y'all feel like when you're reading my shit and I'm putting my characters through it? Because this has been crazy. Like, it is crazy. I cannot believe I haven't seen this talked about more. Actually, I can. A lot of you guys don't like thick, chunky books. I get it. I see that all the time. Like,
I would never read a book more than 500 pages.
But y'all are f***ing missing out. Like, this is, I'm told that it doesn't get better. I think it's going to be very, very f***ing stressful. I don't even know what this is genred as. I know it's not genred as a romance. I really hope the entire series has a happily ever after. But I don't think this book will, and it might not. It literally might not, so don't think I'm for me. I'm sorry. There's your disclaimer right now. But shit, I should look it up. I'm not gonna look it up while I'm filming this. I'll put it on the screen. There is a lot of romance in it. It's very slow burn, very low spice for at least the first like 50%. Then it's horror. Almost like there's like a lot of spice that you don't want to be happening that kind of starts at like the 50% mark. Then there is spice that you want to be happening, and then there's kind of like dubcon spice between the MMCs that like starts happening because Reaver's got a lot of issues. This is dark as let that be known. Reaver is not a good person. He is an anti-hero. He is not good. Even Killian has his freaking moments. Killian is Reaver's conscience, and the fact that Killian is the innocent one in here, knowing what I know about Killian and some of the shit that he's done, is like wild. I don't know. I'm hoping this convinced y'all to read this because I need somebody to talk to about this, and none of my friends are like digging into this big old Bertha. Listen to that. take somebody out with this. Don't rob me, I have a weapon. Anyways, I'm almost done this. I feel like I'm gonna have a panic attack when I finish it. And I feel like I'm probably gonna have to start book 2. So next week's video may or may not be on book 2. In which case, I'm sorry if the next freaking 10 weeks is me talking about Fallocaust by Quil Carter, who's more of a goddamn psychopath than I even am, which I think is pretty impressive. Anyway! Oh my god, my eggplant fell down. No! There we go. Hopefully everybody's stuck back up there nicely. Anyways, y'all know when a book has hit for me, when I can't shut the up about it. But anyways, if you found this video on your feed and you are not following me and you like books that ruin your life, welcome. Hi, follow me now. Also, I write books that ruin people's lives, so make sure you're checking those out too. You might have heard of some of these. Most of them are MM. I do have some pitch black, poly, MF, and bi romances in there too, so have fun. Okay, so now I want to kind of deep dive into this book. I haven't quite finished it yet, but I want to talk about where I've gotten up to. Like, this book technically, in my opinion, could have been split into like 3 much smaller books. I've already gone through almost 3 full plot cycle, I guess. Like, we've had the beginning, like the rising, the climax, and then the falling, but like that's happened 3 times. And so everything from now on in this video is gonna be major spoilers. So if you don't like spoilers, don't watch the rest of this video, because I'm just gonna, yeah. I think I'm gonna talk long enough about this that I am seriously considering getting in my comfy chair. Yeah, I'm gonna get in my comfy chair. I wanna sit down. Okay. Sorry, this is so much more comfy because I feel like this is going to be a bit of a long one. So we're talking about Fallocaust and we're talking about the 3 different arcs. There's basically 3 different like climaxes in this one book, and all of them have been so freaking crazy. Like, I don't think you understand. I have no idea how things are going to get crazier, but the few people that I do know that have read this book are telling me that it gets worse. Sorry, I guess my cat is coming for a visit. Come on. Anyways, a few people that I do know who've read this series have been telling me that it just like gets worse, but I honestly, it's already pretty bad. So the first arc, I need to kind of tell you a little bit about like the world building first. I know this isn't a dark romance, but romance is a very big part of the story. Like, almost this entire book follows this relationship between these 2 main MMCs, Reaver and Killian. They live in this post-apocalyptic world that's very Walking Dead-ish, but there's no zombies. It's more just nuclear waste. Like, they live in the wastelands. The only organic protein that is still viable to eat is honestly other people and this like genetically engineered type of subhuman that they call rats. Basically, they're not rats, they're like primates almost, and they breed and cultivate them like chickens and kill them, but they call their main race intelligent humans, they call those Aryans, and they'll kill and eat Aryans too. Like, they're like, this is the wastes, we don't waste meat, we're eating whatever. And the main kind of like, if you're thinking like Hunger Games and how in the capital they have all of these privileges and like well-developed things, it's kind of similar here, where they make this canned meat called like rat foo or something. I forget what it's called, but basically what they do is they take, or maybe it's Aryan. No, yeah, it's like Aryan, like normal human, which tastes better than rat. And they're supposed to be like criminals or Aryans who've like broken the law. Like, you're not supposed to just like pluck like an Aryan off the street and turn them into this canned meat, or like that's what the marketing is. And the way that they do this is they like string these people up like alive, and they put tubes down their throats, inject them with this like greasy substance that makes them taste really good. This is important, I promise. This is important to the fucking story. We learn all this while Reaver has developed this obsession with Killian. Reaver is clearly a psychopath. Like, you learn it very, very early. He has no empathy, no remorse. He revels in murder and mayhem and all of the bad shit that any sociopath or psychopath would do. But then Killian, who's like much younger than him, and I think it is worth saying that Killian is 17 in this story, so if that's going to be an issue for you, let it be known, he's not 18 yet. He moves into like their camp, and his parents get diseased and they pass away, and the camp eats his parents, which that's how you're introduced to the fact that everybody in this cannibal is a book. And I was like, well, I'm officially locked in. Like, this pretty much sold me, and I've been nonstop reading it ever since. So anyways, they eat Killian's parents. Killian goes into a depression. Reaver starts stalking Killian because when Killian first moved there, Reaver was like, oh my God, this kid smiles. Like, nobody in the Waste smiles. And I think that's what like attracted him to Killian at first. So he's just been silently following Killian around, and Killian knows that he's stalking him, but he does it almost more just to like protect Killian. Killian came from the capital. He's very sheltered. He doesn't know how to survive, and he makes stupid decisions. And frickin' Reaver just be out here there trying to keep this fucking kid alive. One thing leads to another and Killian ends up going out into the waste like an idiot by himself without a gun because he doesn't know how to use a gun. And he gets kidnapped by these bad guys. And you as the reader are like, oh my fucking God, I knew that was gonna happen, but Jesus fucking Christ, that is not good. Reaver freaking loses it when Killian gets kidnapped. They haven't even spoken 2 words to each other. He's just been following him around forever. And Reaver fucking snaps and he is ripping through the waste. And then you're quickly starting to learn like Reaver is not like other people in this world. He is so much more deadly, so much more dangerous. He has advanced night vision and hearing, like he can hear people's heartbeats and stuff. So like him hunting for Killian was the most terrifying, badass shit I probably ever read. Like he's ruthless. Like I cannot even say on this video what he did to the man that sold Killian into this like factory where they process. Remember when I said it was important that we talked about how they process that canned meat? That is the factory that Killian was sent to. And he finds the raver that sold him to that. And the shit that he does to this man's son is absolutely horrifying. But you're kind of like an eye for an eye, I guess. Like, oh my Jesus Christ. Reaver at this point thinks that Killian was also non-conned by this man too. So you kind of get it. And I don't know. Sorry, I need to pause because fucking crazy. Anyway, Reaver ruins that man's life. And then he single-handedly breaks into this guarded freaking factory, murdering shit, blowing things up. He has like C4 in his freaking pockets. He is on a freaking mission. He finds Killian with like all of these tubes in his throat being like fattened up to be this canned stuff. And he takes that shit out. And their first words to each other, like I was literally swooning. I was like, something is wrong with me. Like, why am I swooning? But they literally like look at each other. Killian's naked and like puking up all of this like freaking stuff. He's just been through so much trauma. Looks at Reaver and he's like, I knew you were gonna come for me. He like told those other guys too that Reaver was his boyfriend, even though he wasn't. And like was like, he's gonna kill you. Their first words to each other are literally hi in this like factory. Like just like hi, hi. And then Reaver's like, hi, I'm Reaver. And Killian's like, I fucking know. You've been stalking me for like months and we live in the same town, but hi, I'm Killian. And it was like so weirdly freaking cute. Reaver's really hurt at this point. He got like smoked by one of his own explosions. And then he takes Killian back. So this is the end of the freaking like first climax in this book. Like already so much shit has happened that I'm literally tired of talking at this point. And I have 2 more arcs to go through before this video is freaking over. So then the next arc, like they're living there, they're chilling, they're having a good time. And we have the slow build up. And the 2 men who run this town raised Reaver. And they clearly have a lot of secrets. They know something about Reaver. They know why Reaver is this like advanced human. But you as the reader don't really know yet, though you start suspecting like the king of this fucked up town is what they call like a chimera. Chimera? I don't know how to pronounce that. But he's like genetically engineered to be better. And like his chimeras, he has got like chimera sons, quote unquote, that are all psychopaths. And it all just starts like adding up. Like Reaver seems a little bit too similar, if you know what I mean. Anyways, they go on this mission to go and get medicine because like they're running low on medicine supplies and Reaver is like their best sentry or dude who goes out and scavenges for shit. And he brings Killian, which again, Killian is not exactly combat approved, but whatever. They're having a good time. They go to this abandoned city and they're finding all of this crap. They're like, I can't believe this hasn't been pillaged yet. Like we're finding so much good stuff. And oh, I think it's also worth mentioning that they do like a lot of like DRUGSs. I don't know if I can say that on here, but they're always doing some form of like opiate or something. Like Reaver loves it. And he got Killian into it too. So they have this like sweet little bonding night and Killian wakes up and Reaver's freaking gone, which is so not like Reaver. Like as grumpy as Reaver is, like he's obviously obsessed with Kill. And Killian's like, oh, okay, like he probably just went to go get food. Like days freaking pass and Reaver doesn't come back and you're going through like this internal spiral with Killian. Like did Reaver abandon him? Would he do that? Because he's so badass, it doesn't seem realistic that he would have been captured. So the only other option is that he abandons him. So Killian starts just like blowing through all of the powder that Reaver has. So he's like he is not present and he's wandering through the city just like alone and devastated. And then this man appears out of nowhere and he says, hey, I have your boyfriend. And Killian's like, WTF, like how the hell do you have my boyfriend? And this man brings him back to this like underground laboratory and shows Killian Reaver in this like surveillance room where this man has like cameras set up around the entire freaking city and he's been watching Killian and Reaver. And that is how he kidnapped Reaver because Reaver went out to do like a patrol and he told Reaver Reaver thinks about Killian, basically saying, I've kidnapped him. He's back at my lab. You have to come with me. So Reaver went with him willingly. And the only reason that guy knew that was because of these cameras. And that was the only way he was able to actually overpower Reaver. Now, the kicker is this guy is super into Killian. Like, he's obsessed with him, thinks he's like super hot and pretty. And this becomes this whole next arc where this doctor now is crazy. Like, he is Looney Tune. He's also a chimera from like the capital. And he's like obsessed with Killian, and Reavers and Killian have this plan where Killian's gonna use this doctor's like crush on him to manipulate him, basically get the keys to release Reaver. Reaver's not sleeping. He is so stressed. I think he goes like 7 days or something without sleeping. So he's like seeing freaking sounds. By the time this is all coming to an end and he's getting more and more paranoid, Killian's able to put it off for the most part, but a lot of like non-consensual like stuff happens with the doctor, and the doctor is like intentionally riling Reaver up, being like, I want you to watch this. I want you to see it on the cameras. I want you to hear it, like turn up the volume or whatever about his boyfriend. So Reaver's like not in a good place. And the way it's written is so well done because Killian starts getting like Stockholmed by this guy and like starts sympathizing with him. And you as the reader are just like, come on, Killian, like you said you could handle this. You said you could handle this task and you're falling for it. You're falling for it. You're falling for it. Again, one thing leads to another. This doctor blows up his own freaking lab and all of his test subjects. He'd also like kidnapped all of these humans and he blew them up in front of Killian, and Killian is like on his knees and they tell each other that they love each other just as Reaver like escapes, and Killian's like, go Reaver, I love this guy now. And Reaver's just like, what the f? I haven't slept in 8 days and you, everybody, I'm out. He goes outside, but he's like, totally spiraling. And then Killian appears and you're like, is he hallucinating that Killian is here? I thought Killian was in love with that other guy now. And Killian's like holding this bag and Reaver's you, go back to him, be with him. You said you wanted to be with him. And Killian hands him the bag and he opens the bag and it's the doctor's freaking head. Killian schmurdered that guy, sawed off his head, put it in a bag, and then gave it to Reaver because in one of Reaver's delusional, sleep-deprived moments, he'd mentioned to Killian that he wanted to, and I quote, eat his brains. So Killian was like, you said you wanted his brains. Here you go. Never doubt my love for you again. This is why I read, man. People are so creative. This is crazy. Edge of my seat. After that, I think is like the first kind of like romantic spice we get when they go back to like their little town. You get like your romantic spice, like they're finally together, everything's good. And again, you have this peaceful period where everything's okay, they're good, and you can see how in love these two are with each other, despite how different they are. Then the mayors of the town are going through this lab that they'd been kidnapped in, trying to salvage stuff. And they're obviously like looking for information from the Capitol because this guy worked for the Capitol too. But then they discover a survivor. That doctor had a bunch of prisoners and stuff that he was doing experiments on, and they find somebody still alive. So they send this guy back, and this guy's name is Asher. Okay. And this brings us to the third arc, which again, I'm a little 85, 87% done. So there might literally be one more mini arc. You have to understand for how thick this book is. Hold on, I'll show you. For how freaking thick this book is, 1% of this book is like a lot. A lot could still happen in 85%. I'm just struggling because it's been so insane. And again, this is book 1 in a 10 fucking book series. This is wild. Where was I?
Where was I?
So the third arc that I've been through now. So now this Asher guy goes back to the town. There was this whole other thing where Reaver was trying to run the town. It was crazy, but not on the level of crazy that Asher is. Asher is injured when he gets there and Killian helps heal him. So at first you're kind of like, okay, like this guy seems okay. As he heals very quickly, first of all, and he's also very similar to Reaver. Like he's very stealthy. He's very, you can tell, like he acts like he has empathy and is friendly and is very polite, but there's just these moments where you just know that he is just as sociopathic as Reaver is. Like whenever he sees people suffering, like he enjoys it a lot. So there's all these kind of like red flags. Then he starts making comments about how attractive Reaver is to Killian. So Killian is like, hey, I high-key hate this guy. And Killian tries to be polite to him, but you know how you just, when you don't like somebody, even if if you're like polite, usually people can tell you have like an issue with them. It's like that. And then you keep seeing moments where Asher is clearly trying to intentionally antagonize Killian. So you're kind of like, fuck this guy. Killian goes and tells Reaver, basically, I don't like him. I don't want you hanging out with him. And Reaver's like, well, that's not fair. You have to trust me. I'm your partner. Like, I'm not going to fuck around with this guy. I just like going on patrols with him. He's very similar to me. And they are. I can see how somebody like Reaver would enjoy spending time with this person. But I think it's also done a lot by design. This guy is trying to mold himself into somebody that Reaver is going to enjoy spending time with because he can't be trusted, right? So poor Killian is like, it's not that I don't trust you, it's that I don't trust him, basically. And they fight about this like constantly. Anytime Killian has an issue with this other guy, Reaver's like, no, you need to trust me. And it gets very, you're like, fuck Reaver, Jesus. Then finally, Asher starts really showing his true colors when he drugs Reaver one night when Reaver's over. He starts this like drinking game while they're playing video games and they're both getting drunk and you're already like, hey, this guy is sketchy. Are you getting wasted with him? And then it starts getting more. This is more than just alcohol. His body starts feeling like really warm and aroused and everything. And you're like, he's definitely been drugged with something. And then snap like that, Asher all of a sudden is dead sober. And you can tell he's been faking it the whole time. And he starts trying to basically non-con Reaver when Reaver is so blasted out of his mind. And Reaver manages to fight him off and get away. And he gets home and he like takes out all of that like pent up arousal, I guess, on Killian. But the next morning he wakes up and he can't remember anything that happened with Asher. So he still thinks they're just like buds. He thinks he just had like drinking night and blacked out. He has no idea that he was almost non-conned basically. But Killian is even more suspicious because of like the way Reaver came home and like things he was saying to Killian. So he starts devising this plan where he wants to plant a voice recorder on Reaver in his pants so that he can record what happens when he hangs out with Asher, and he keeps one on his own person as well too, as kind of like a backup. There's like a couple of more instances where something similar like that happens and Reaver keeps getting away, but when he gets home, he becomes more and more mean and volatile and awful to Killian, and Killian is starting to get really fed up with it. So he finally follows Reaver one night to Asher's house and he's watching in the window. This night too, ironically enough, Reaver was going to Asher's house because he'd been so mean to Killian the night before. He was literally going there to be like, we can't really be friends anymore. It's ruining my relationship with Killian, which is more important to me. He had this one line that was so cute when he was talking to Asher and he was all messed up, but he was like, you know, like if you died when we were on patrol, it'd be whatever. But if Killian died, it would like ruin my life. And I was just like, yes, tell him that. That's much better. Anyways, he goes to Asher's house to basically be like, I can't hang out with you anymore. This is just like not good for my relationship. And Killian is watching this through the window and Reaver was still like quote unquote hungover from the last time that Asher tried to take advantage of him with substances, and Asher's feeding him substances again. And because Reaver's always doing some sort of opiate, he's just like, okay, it's fine as long as it's not alcohol, I'll take it. Obviously gets taken under again. And now Killian is watching as Asher is trying to basically non-con his boyfriend. So Killian makes himself known and he's like, Reaver, are you in there? Asher gets freaking pissed. He looks at Reaver and gives him a command because apparently these schmugs that he's using are basically angel dust, like in our world, except like kicked up a notch, obviously, because it's fiction, but it's like mind control drug, basically. And he tells Reaver to non-con Killian. And Killian hears this, so he starts running, and Reaver, again, remember, he is a freaking advanced ass human. He's chasing freaking Killian through their town, and Killian's running, and this is his boyfriend. This is somebody who like it was just like that concept wrecks me. I was shook. Killian manages to get away. He locks Reaver in their vault of a basement and he's like, okay, enough is enough. I need to go on the offensive here. So he goes back to Asher's house crying and acting like he's breaking up with Reaver because he's got that recorder still in his pocket that he wants to get Asher basically admitting on tape some of the shit that he's doing. So while he's there, he's saying all of these things like, oh, always felt like Reaver was like cold and it just isn't working out, blah, blah, blah. He's like saying all of these hurtful things about Reaver to try and trick this other guy. Well, this other guy drugs him and then basically shows him that he has the second recorder that Killian had planted in Reaver's pockets. And he plays back the recording of Killian saying all of these awful things. Killian is now like totally incapacitated and under his control. And then he freaking non-cons freaking Killian. And that was like pretty rough to read. It was on page and in detail. And Killian actually ends up overcoming him because there's like all of these like substances on the ground and he puts some inside Asher and like that's how he gets control of him. Then he kills Asher by suffocating him and frickin' buries him on top of where they buried the frickin' scientist from that lab that they took him from. The next day, Reaver's now sober and Killian's like, what happened to you? You're clearly hurt. Like Killian is bleeding from various places because of how bad the non-con was. And Killian's like, it was Asher. He doesn't tell Reaver that he's unalived Asher. He just says that he's gone. He's like in this like traumatic state and he's pretty much, I don't know. He's not, I feel like I'm gonna get smoked with a miscommunication trope here because he doesn't have those recorders on him, right? So the next day, he gets Reaver to take him to Asher's house so that he can find these recorders, but he can only find one of them. Like he's digging apart this entire freaking basement, trying to find this freaking recorder that has like his voice saying all of these horrible things about his boyfriend, and he can't freaking find it. And he looks up at the window and Asher is there in the window smiling at him with like bruises on his neck covered in dirt. And Killian screams. I screamed. I literally have that vision burned into my freaking brain. That is so freaking scary. Killian screams. Reaver comes running in, but then as soon as Reaver gets there, obviously the window's freaking empty. And he thinks Killian is just like hallucinating things because he's so traumatized from being non-con. But I know, man, that dude is in this goddamn encampment somewhere. They're doing patrols on the outside and I think he's freaking in there. Again, like I said, I haven't finished yet. Here's my prediction of what's gonna happen. At like right at the end of the book, because right now other shit is happening too. Like I think the king has found out that Reaver's a chimera and he's gonna come find them too. So that's a whole other can of worms. But in regards to the Asher plot line, 100% he's gonna show that recording to Reaver somehow out of context. And then the book is gonna end. I just know it. And then I'm gonna need to immediately pick up the next freaking book. And I'm pretty sure it's just as long as this one. Send help. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how many people are gonna watch this video, but I feel like if this is pretty much all I'm reading for a bit until it's done, I'm just gonna keep making them anyways because that is really why I make content in the first place. Like I wanna talk to people about the crazy shit that I read. I have been reading for the last couple of weeks and it has been blowing my mind. I think more people should try to read it. Again, I know it's thick and chonky and I know it's freaking intimidating, but I love a thick and chonky book. And even I kind of hesitated a little bit. Again, it's not because this one book is chonky. Normally I'm like, okay, whatever. It's because there's like 10 of them that are this thick and chonky. But again, this could have been 3 books. I just kind of look at it like that. I just read a trilogy right now. And I am a fast reader, so it's fine. I just hope they're not all freaking cliffhangers because I just know I'm gonna need to take breaks in between them. And it's so hard to do that when there's like cliffhanger. I always just need to know what's freaking happening. So anyways, I'm gonna end that video here. Thank you for coming to my freaking TED Talk about this super messed up book. If any of you have read this, I want to talk about it really badly in the comments. Like I don't really know anybody else who's actually, I have a couple of friends who have read this too that I'm happily talking to them about it, but I would love to like have other pals to kind of chat with as I go through this freaking journey. So yeah, let me know if you've read this in the comments. If you haven't read it, let me know if this video convinced you to pick it up. I would like to know. And yeah, that's where I'm gonna axe her off today. I love you, and as always, stay freaking weird. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'm so happy to have you here. If you haven't already and you wanted to support me by checking out my books that I've written, here's my entire backlist. I've got a wide range of books in here, anything from, I've got a contemporary sports romance all the way down to a much more dark pitch black series. And I'm always coming out with more books all of the time. So if you want to get to know me and what my writing style is like, all of these are available on KU. Now, you might be thinking, Alex, in this economy, that is crazy. I cannot be buying books right now. That's absolutely fine. Please like, follow, subscribe, share, tell your friends, smash all of those buttons or comment and join the conversation. Any little bit helps. Even you just watching this video right now is a huge help, and I am so, so grateful for you. So thank you so much for any sort of engagement that you would like to give me. I love you, and as always, stay freaking weird.